And so we're up here and volume on the computer. So we're up here in Wānanga. So during this evening's session, whānau, you might actually hear a whole bunch of singing in the background. We're actually in the back room that may be sometimes used as the mattress room of Kenana Marae here in the far north in Ngāti Kahu territory. And Christian isn't able to make it tonight as he's in a school board meeting. So he sends his apologies. But because it's 6:05 whānau, so we might actually kick into it 8 and get going. And other people will jump in, and they jump in, and this particular kaupapa is recorded anyways. So for those that are wanting to jump in, just where we've already gone 6 minutes. So I'll start us off with the karakia tonight whānau, and then I will jump back into sharing the screen and just have a look at what we're doing for this evening before we get into this evening's session. So I'll start us off with a quick karakia. And so tuia I runga, tuia I raro, tuia I roto, tuia I waho, tuia I te here tangata. Nei rā tātou e noho tahi nei, I runga no I te kaupapa o te wā, ara ko te ao puoro, I roto I te ao Māori. Nei rā tātou, te hunga e noho tahi nei, e piri tahi nei, a tirohanga, a rorohiko, a mātauranga, e noho ana I runga no I te kaupapa kia tipu kia rea, ngā māramatanga I roto I o tātou tamariki mokopuna o te motu, I roto I te marautanga puoro, whano tau mai te Māori, haumi e, hui e, taiki e. Kia ora tātou e te whānau I te pō. Welcome to this evening's session of our kaupapa. It kicked off last week, and our kaupapa being, here we go, exploring musical histories and tikanga with taonga puoro, with myself, Horomono Horo, and my brother from another mother,
Whanaunga from another maunga. Whanaunga from another
maunga. So we come to you from Pūtahi in the north through to Tarawera and Ngongotaha in the lands of Tuarua. And so welcome to this evening's session whānau. We kick-started off last week in an awesome way, and we delved into the kaupapa that we spoke of. Now you're gonna be seeing something consistently throughout it. You may not see the images, but there are supposed to be images on there, not just numbers. But the main thing is the kōrero that's there, and it means our kaupapa is to delve into the deeper learnings through a te ao Māori lens, explore its musical histories and tikanga, learn and develop insight into key terms like ihi, wehi, wana, develop knowledge in traditional composition techniques and tikanga, as well as key te ao Māori concepts in te ao puoro. And so in that, I'm going to hand it over to Pro Kelly just to have a bit of a welcoming kōrero tonight, and then we're going to get into this. Remember last week, one of our tikanga was to have a 20-second flow around, so everybody gets a bit of a whakawhanaungatanga story in about what you've been up to in your school during this past week, but just, I think somebody said 20-30 seconds each. And so, but before we get into that, I'm going to let the bro have a kōrero so I can mute myself and then shoot back and let these people behind me, as you can hear, just turn the music down, just an incy-wincy bit. Ka pai? So kei a koe te wā, bro.
Kia ora horo, ngā mihi atu ki a koe I tō karakia, kia whakawhiti tēnei te karakia kia mātou nei, kia pūoro pai tō mātou nei reo. Thank you for your karakia tonight, horo. To those who have just joined us, nice to see you, Lenny. Kia ora, Victoria. What we'll do is we'll probably go around if you can introduce yourselves to us later as well. The whānau here, it's always good to use the chat feature as well. We want you to actually come in and join in and tell us who you are, where you're from, and what's inspired you to really keep music going throughout your whole life. But as Horo said, what we're doing is we're doing an investigation into what are the elements of Māori music right now that you're not going to find in the dictionary. You're not going to find in the encyclopedias. You're not going to read Mervyn McLean's dissertation on what he thinks Māori music is and come from a music ethnologist who doesn't even come from inside the Māori culture to tell you what it is. Most of the writings that are out there, Johannes Anderson as well as another person, if you want to study Johannes, his work, beautiful. I would say that his work's probably deeper than Mervyn's, but still it's coming from treating Māori as museum articles that we can sort of study from outside, but we're going to give you the insights from inside of how Māori music's alive right now. It's kicking. It has mauri, it has ihi, wehi, wana and mana to it. And what do these terms mean? And how do we invigorate that inside of ourselves? Because if we can do that, we actually, you probably read that book by, I think it's Raphael Esquith, and his book was called Teach Like Your Hair's on Fire. And that's a really good title itself, but actually you just have to have the mauri flowing inside of you. So your ihi and your wehi inside of you is on fire. That's really where we come from a Māori point of view inside of the class. And we're here to try and charge you up with that and give you, empower you more, just to be yourselves and with some extra in it. That's what our kids are looking for. They want to see you in your extra mode. They want to see you in your dumbed down teacher mode where you're playing the game in the system. They want to express themselves. So anyway, that's me, Kali Kahukiwa, and I would like to pass the rākau over to Lenny and Victoria to do an introduction to Sarah. I don't know if you were here last time. Maybe you yourself as well. Sarah, were you here last time?
No, not last time. Just
okay, kapai. Well, there's three of you here. You can do an introduction. Kia ora, Lenny.
Kia ora, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just checking that I clicked the right button. Yeah, I'm Lenny. I have been working with music for a very long time and managed to land a really cool job at Belmont Intermediate School a couple of years ago as head of performing arts, and took over a program that I'm sort of just twisting and turning and changing at the moment. A part of it is music history, so I teach 650 kids all what they call sort of foundational music, just the lessons in class, and part of that is music history, where I've been focusing on classical European music and modern styles from originally North America, and wanted to incorporate the music that we already had before those came to New Zealand. I'm Danish, so I've been here for 18 years, but I haven't grown up in this environment in New Zealand. So it's all, I'm sort of just starting from scratch, learning everything that I can teach, myself, but also all these Kiwi kids in my classrooms. So I've started the process of, I've got myself this little collection here.
Right.
And just showing them around my classroom. I've got the hard tech teacher to produce some kōʻao for me and some porotiti, and then I'm just going to have the kids explore and make sounds and jam. And the more I can learn, the deeper I can go, the more I can also, bring forward to all these kids.
Ka pai. Kia ora, Lenny. Thank you. I'll pass it over to Victoria and Sarah. And we haven't got a lot of time, so just give us a brief introduction. But as we go through the sessions too, we're going to keep asking you things to sui whakawhanaungatanga all the time, learn more about each other. Kia ora. I'll pass it over to you, Victoria, next.
Kia ora tātou, ko Victoria Takonua. I work with Carmel at Western Springs College, Ngā Puna o Waiorea in Auckland Central. We have 2 schools within our grounds, and one of those is a kaupapa Māori school, and we teach basically the same amount of English medium and Māori medium tauira, and basically I want to make sure that I am doing the best that I can for those kids. And I feel like that quote that I read when I was studying that said, what's good for Māori kids is good for all kids, you know, and I want to make sure that those kids are getting the very best out of pōro lessons. So that's why I'm here.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Victoria. Ngā mihi atu ki a koe. Sarah, kei a koe, over to you.
Kia ora. I work at Inglewood High School in Taranaki. Moved here last year from Auckland. So I'm keen to learn too, because there's currently not much music history, like New Zealand music history and Māori music in our program, and that's something that I would like to incorporate more.
Beautiful. You know how to keep it brief. Ngā mihi atu ki a koe. Thank you. We'll learn more about you later on, Sarah. Ka pai. Kia ora horo. Back to you, brother.
Pai whānau, kia koutou e rā tuahine i tāpiri mai nei o koutou whakawhanangatanga ki a tātou, tēnei te reo kamihi ake kia koutou. Lenny, i tai tawhiti mai no tā wāhi, Victoria, no tērā muka o Ngāti Whātua, tātahi ko koe e Sarah, tēnei te reo kamihi ake kia koutou. O tērā kia tātou katoa e te whānau, mauri ora kia tātou. Just interweaving the connections between our newcomers, as well as reconnecting with all of us here. And so, first and foremost, whānau, what we're going to do, I'm going to go back into sharing my screen so I can slowly start getting used to these types of things. And what we're going to do, whānau, is head back to this. Now, last week, we started to put it all together and put down on the whiteboard and lay down on a whiteboard that we had created some guidelines, some tikanga for our sessions, our Zoom sessions. And one of those is to have a whakawhanangatanga story, or what is your story to add? He aha tō kōrero o te wā. And that is just to bring everybody in. And like what Kelly said earlier, we don't want it to be too long. We just maybe a thought or something that happened at your kura in regard to the world of music, just to share with us. I'll kickstart it off, and then what I'll do is I will call out a name and then put myself on mute, and then that person will be the one that'll be sharing their 20-30 seconds with us. But first and foremost, I remember we said this last week, if everybody please go into the where it's got stop video security, participants, share, all that thing, either at the bottom of your screen or at the top of your screen. There is a section called is it? Oh no, here we go. It is, where are we? It's playing up. I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. Okay, at the bottom, it is called emotion or reactions. I want everybody to go into reactions, and I want you to find the emoji that's got your hand. Yep. So it's got your hand in there. And so your hand is going to be, I want you to turn your hand on or turn your hand up, whichever hand emoji you want to use. Okay. Some of us got the hand up like this. Some of us, I can't even find my hand like that. Damn. So I'm going to use a thumbs up. Oh, mind you, at the end of my session, I won't have one. As soon as you're spoken, you take your reaction thing off. So whoever's talking can see, oh, I'll pass it to somebody that the hand is up. And then once I do my talk, I can pull the hand off. Put your thumbs up if you can understand. All good? Cool. So starting with me, whānau, my sharing for this week. My sharing for this week is I'm actually up in the far north. I live in the Waikato in Hamilton, but I'm up in the far north with Taipa Area School, and we are doing a week-long Wānanga session in and around the whare tapere, the whare karioi, mute taonga puoro, usage within tākoro, as well as using the other art forms of whakairo, raranga, and so there's a whole bunch of stuff we're doing, and it's awesome. So that's my sharing for this week. I will pass it over to koe e te hoa, tō muri te awa spaisa. Kei a koe Mara.
Tēnā koe Mara. So what I'm up to this week with this taonga pūoro, I've started planning on how I'm going to carve out a pūkaya and some work with a poia whiowhio, which I'm going to try and make out of a coconut, just because, you know, I'm working with a student budget, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. No, ora. But yeah, I'll pass te rākau kōrero ki Ben Lau. To you, brother.
Kia ora koutou, everyone. My soundbite is someone found me on the internet, Chris Mulholland, who's a teacher in Nelson, and we've been having a kōrero about taonga pūoro and how he can, the gifts that I have received from tangata whenua and from horo and from others, how I use taonga pūoro in my classroom, and to stimulate his thinking of how he may use taonga pūoro in the area that he is in. So yeah. And I would like to pass it over to Sarah.
Thanks. We have to do a ngāwahi to all of our staff and talk about a place of significance. So I bent the rules slightly and I'm talking about New Zealand because I think it's important to talk about the music of New Zealand that's significant. So I've been doing a lot of research this week on Tongapuro and here in Melbourne to talk about how we have, or starting to bring it back and using instruments in our music. Oh, Lenny.
Yeah, I've kind of already shared getting some instruments made by kids for kids, and just getting the, you know, hopefully soon getting the kids jamming on their new taonga pūoro. So I'll pass it on. Carmel?
Kia ora. We've had quite a few joys this week because we're going really, really hard on Music Month. So like kiddie concerts and stuff like that. But actually my weird one today was I just discovered a new band of year nines that I haven't met yet. They haven't come into music, but they've entered RockQuest, and I had to sign a form saying that they existed at our school. And I was like, yep, love it. Join the party. Come on down, team. I'll be there all day at RockQuest on Saturday supporting all the bands. So I'm just like, yes, new babies, new musicians. Love it. So I'm very happy. I will pass to Adele because I can't remember the phrase for te reo to pass the speaking spec te rākau kōrero. But yes, thanks. Adele.
Kia ora, the last week we had like a voice audition at Kura for a solo part. So our kōtiro aren't they're a little bit whakama. So as an audience of Reorua Rōpū, the senior part, everyone needed to face the opposite way so that they couldn't be seen, just so that it would grow our kōtiro's confidence to actually sing to an audience. So really the challenge for me is actually to grow the confidence of children to actually raise their voice and to be proud of what it sounds like. Kia ora e ho, Trevi and Prida.
Working out logistics. Go. You go. Kia ora. Hell, I really am sick of my mates. It's mama me, but you know, kia ora. Okay, so we have the porotiti at Kura, so actively just using it. Every Tuesday, Thursday we have karakia, and I play putarino, but now the tamariki, and after 2 p.m. their time, they can play hui, some play the koa, and some do the porotiti. Play the porotiti, and it's good for their hands because they're not hitting each other. Koe pana, me pēnei.
Okay, lots of stories. I'm on Wānanga and there's so many beautiful things happening everywhere. A highlight today for me has been working with tūrangatahi in the Mattress Room Studios, helping record. They've been helping me some research mahi, and blown away with professionalism today of them asking me exactly what I wanted, sending me files and types, and I've seen a huge growth from knowing them 3 years ago to now. Just the professionalism, it's super exciting, and they've been really encouraging other Tuarua as well. So, yeah, that's a real plus for today. I'll pass it to Joe. To my Tani.
Tēnā koe. Two things. A good thing and a less good thing. Good thing. I'm working at GNS Science doing research, and I'm always on the lookout for cool things to take into sort of geonoho spaces. And yesterday I found this cool little shake table thing. So it's a way to understand like earthquake building and stuff like that. And it's real easy and real cheap to make, and real cool to take into places. And so that was good. I'm part of our GNS, our workplace waiata group, and this morning we were there supporting a welcome by our kuamatua, Joe McLeod, and it was this kind of corporate space. We were doing this welcome, and it was very we didn't have our guitarist. She wasn't able to be there, and we stood up and oh man, we bombed. It was okay, we got through, but it wasn't walking away going oh. So that was my two things. We didn't really bomb, but it didn't soar, you know. Okay. Te raka kōrero ki Victoria.
Kia ora. So today was a really cool day today. Last week I had some troubles with one of my classes, and after a good hard talking to by my HOD, Carmel, down there, the akunga really just they were in a really different space in their mind, and it meant that a child who literally has notes that says, you know, will not take help at all, came up to me with a guitar and was like, I want to learn some R&B chords, and within like 20 minutes was playing a chord progression and loving it, and it made me feel stoked. I'm going to pass it to Pauline.
Oh, hi, yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited because I'm involved with 2 concerts for Masariki, and one of them involves new compositions, which have been written by a local person as with the choir, and I get to play the flute part, and there's lots of like bird call imitations, so that's really fun. Yeah, and that's me, and I'll pass it on back to Horo. I guess everyone's been now, eh?
Kia ora koutou. I don't know what's happening right now, but anyway, just jump on in a bit of dead space. If you have a look inside of the chat there, I've gone and put down some of our instruments we have here. But to help with the pronunciation, what you do with te reo Māori, wherever you have a consonant, so the consonants, there's 10 of them, haka, mana, para, tawanga, wha, there's 10 consonants there. You put a break before it. So to pronounce it properly, if we break it down, I've got the word pūtorino. It's pūtorino. Pūtorino. So those who are thinking, oh, how do I pronounce these? I heard someone was talking about some of these instruments. I thought, oh, we should put the names of these up, hey, so we can all have a go at actually them. So we've got porotiti, porotiti. Let's have a go. Turn your mics on. We're going to have a go together, whānau, and we're going to say this all sounding real weird, okay? Pūtorino.
Pūtorino.
Yeah, pūtorino. Oh, next one is porotiti.
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 If you ever get confused about it, always remember to put that little, like my name, my surname, if we put a little line before each of my consonants, it's ka, hu, ki, wa. Ho, ro, mo, na. To, mu, ri. Okay, so any of our names we have in Te Reo Māori, we just have to put a little line before those consonants and we'll nail it, okay? And we'll make sure that by the end of these sessions we can at least pronounce all our instruments properly. And the other word is taonga, taonga, pu, puoro, taonga, puoro.
Taonga. Puoro.
Oh, that's it. What I've been up to this week for music is I've joined a little rōpū. Myself, a fellow called Kiel Cass, who makes uku ones, and we've got the bro Larson or Reihana. He goes the name Wi-Fi, and Will's Hohaya, Wiramu Hohaya. So us four are putting together something in here for whāngarei for going through Puanga, Matariki, and beyond. So I'm looking forward to that jam on Friday, and I made this pumoana for it. So this one here, this shell I got a mate from Papua who goes to Papua New Guinea. She works over there and she brings back these shells. She goes to people's houses and has a kai with them, and they go, oh yeah, we've had this shell lying in our bathroom for ages. And so she buys them off them. They come back all paru as, so I just sort of shrine them up and then put a pahutsukawa mouthpiece on it, and it sounds like this. It's got a real mean resonance to it. Kia ora. That's what I've been doing. Puoro. Te! Kia ora horo.
Yeah, kia ora whānau. Yeah, and for all of us, I suppose, no, kia ora for that, bro, and kia ora everybody. When I suppose one of the funny things, I suppose some of us may already be used to it. Some of us, I'm still learning these particular things, but in our Zoom meeting things, if we're going to play certain instruments or certain things, what do you call it? Resonance, certain tones. There's actually a thing at the top of the screen next to the shield. It has where it has original sound for musicians off, on. Now, when you have it off, when you play, whether it's a guitar or whether it's a trumpet, whether it's a drum, some sounds won't actually be heard. But if you play around with that, and it on or off, and there's particular mean settings within it, you can hear those particular instruments with a little bit more clarity. Because we're going to be jamming more, like Kelly just jammed on his putatara, we're going to be jamming more throughout these sessions. I'm just going to share our screen just to finish off and wrap up that particular section. We will get there as we go, whānau, in terms of that whakawhanaungatanga session. And because I'm going to get you to jump into some groups. Oh, no, back here. Now, last week I shared a couple of whakatauki. These are a couple new whakatauki, one in Te Reo Māori and one in English. And I'm going to be doing that every week just to build people's knowledge or add another strand to proverbial sayings on Te Ao Māori, because you'll hear them everywhere you go in Māori settings. And so we're just planting little things here, there, and everywhere. And this particular one, I thought I'd add this week because it's another well-used one, and some of you may already know it. And it says, Iti rea rea teitei kahikatea kataia. And it talks about even the small rea rea bird can ascend to the greatest heights of the kahikatea tree. And the kahikatea tree in Te Ao Māori, every different native tree has a specific meaning or understanding to it. Like a tōtara, a kauri, a maere, they all have particular characteristics Māori use when using different forms of colloquialisms or different proverbial sayings, or different, when they are saying something passively using the environment to explain it. The kahikatea has particular traits to it that talk about colour, resonance, that talk about its roots and its purpose in te ao Māori. And so when it talks about the small rearea bird can ascend to the greatest heights of the kahikatea, because the kahikatea is one of our big trees, those really tall as, and so it talks about even the smallest bird can reach the highest heights of the kahikatea tree. And so this particular whakatauki is in regards to all of us that are learning something new. You know, sometimes we feel like a tiny little bird in this massive forest when we're learning about te ao Māori, or when you're starting, when your kura splits into both an English school and a te ao Māori school like Waiōrea. And when you're coming into a new country and learning new aspects of things, you can feel really little. But know in te ao Māori, even the smallest bird has the deepest meanings, or the most biggest strength and mana that can help the largest tree. The second whakatauki, the second proverb whānau, is one from a mentor of mine, a mentor of many in te ao Māori, and he was known in the world of activism. He was known in the world of government, in strategy, in education, and in law, and in many other areas. Moana Jackson was a wonderful papa. And so one of his many sayings was, "We are not alone in our struggles. We stand in the light of our ancestors." We are not alone in our struggles. We stand in the light of our ancestors. Now, in this kaupapa that we're doing, whānau, when we're talking about our kaupapa that we have in regard to exploring musical histories and tikanga, when we're talking about these particular things, we are talking about the many different aspects of te ao Māori. Even though it's through taonga pūoro, it's connected to everything else. And so when you're coming into new things, you know, like Lenny, you know, is getting her students to create new instruments and to start talking about new instruments, and you know, the names of Hirani Melbourne's come up, and the history of all of these things are coming through. The reality is, in the world of taonga pūoro, there is actually not a lot of resources available, and many people go back to the same resources. Unless you are going back to the people themselves, unless you're going back to the iwi themselves, unless you're going back to the strand of people that have been handed down the knowledge and explored the connections of that knowledge, sometimes you're going to feel like a rere bird, and sometimes you're going to feel like you're struggling, you don't know where to go. That's the purpose of these Zooms. So we now have a whānau that you can reach out to. You now have a collective of teachers you can reach out to and say, "Oh, Lenny got her students to make some taonga pūoro. I wonder what resources she used." Or, at the next hui for my thing, I really want to throw a question to Kelly and Horomona. And once again, like we said last week too, whānau, the chat space that's there is for you. While we're talking, if you have a question, chuck the question in the chat. We will get to it. Because when I'm speaking, Kelly's checking out the chat. And when Kelly's speaking, I'm checking out the chat. And if something comes up for us, we will stop the conversation and go to that question, especially if it's a good gem. Okay? And so in regard to these two whakatauki, this is going to lead into what we're going to do now. I'm going to put you into two chat rooms. What are they called again? Breakout rooms. Okay? They're called breakout rooms. So I'm going to you into two breakout rooms, and this is what we're going to have a chat about. We're going to go into those 2 rooms, and we're going to talk about these. In your own experiences, we're going to look firstly at number 1. How do we as teachers, or people that work with teachers, or how do we as practitioners that work with young people and old people, depending on who we are, find our own understanding in the world of music from a lens in Te Ao Māori? Whether your lens is Māori, whether your lens is Scandinavian, whether your lens, how, like Lenny has already shared, and others have already shared tonight, coming into the space is really new. So how do you find your own identity through your own music? Number 1. What is your identity in music, whether in your classroom or whether you as a person? And number 2, actually, I might just hold off to that for now because that's a lot. Identity through music. And I want you all to share in your 2 groups. I want you all to have a time to share on what your identity in your music is and how that translates to your class. And the bigger question, in Te Ao Māori. And this is where we can actually get real. If you are struggling, share it. If you are confused, share it. If you don't know, share it. Because it's through sharing where we can actually start helping one another out. Because if you are unable to say those things in these spaces of Wānanga, and we carry on our sessions next week, and we're going, oh, well, we've already gone through the identity of music, and no one actually said that they were struggling in Te Ao Māori. So, whānau, and with Rua Moko and Rua Moko's kōrero with Tonga, remember that story? And you'll be sitting there going, actually, I don't. And that'll help Kelly and I actually go to different stories that are identifiable, stories that bring introductions to those that don't understand Te Ao Māori into a musical context. We will share stories that may even go back to, hey, whānau, do whānau remember when Hine Wehi Mohi sung the New Zealand national anthem in only Te Reo Māori, and what happened after that? What impact it had, not only in New Zealand music, but in New Zealand sports. Before that date, just as the example, many sports only done the national anthem in English. Rugby and a few other sports done it in Māori and English, but after she made that stand, from that day to now, every single sport now sings the national anthem in both Māori and English. Now that is a movement forward in biculturalism. That is a movement forward through music in the national anthem that shows an example of the identity of New Zealand music. And it shows a struggle, but then it shows the resolution to that struggle. And now everybody knows how to sing the national anthem in both languages. Before she made that stand, different. Okay, I'm going to come out of this. I'm going to see if I can do this again. Breakout rooms. I'm going to put 2 breakout rooms, whānau. And Kelly and I may jump into 1 or 2 of the rooms. And remember, when the time is at the last minute, you'll see in your chat rooms a countdown saying there's 1 minute remaining, and then you'll see the 59, 58, 57, and so on. Okay? So you're automatically going to end up going into a room. Okay?
Does everyone remember the mission? Do you remember what we're going to be doing?
Your identity in music, connecting you to music and your class to music within Te Ao Māori. Ka pai? Here we go.
Got 15 Māori minutes left, whānau. That could mean 24. That's right, Lenny. Keep going. You've got a couple. You've still got some more to say. So I can just finish it in here in front of everyone.
That's okay. It just makes great sense, I think, to incorporate the foundation of the music that we have in New Zealand. When you work with the kids of New Zealand, they get so many other areas of music in their lives just coming in automatically. So to have that as part of my own life and be able to pass some of that on eventually when I learn a bit more and or sort of as I go, makes sense. Yeah, it's meaningful.
Ka pai. Kia ora, that's our group. Beautiful kōrero.
Ka pai. No doubt, whānau, that that would have been a good kōrero. Now we're going to go straight into into the one of the second kōrero that I wanted everybody to go through, rather than sharing straight away, because sharing will take us way over time. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to just share my screen again and go straight into this one. And the next question in terms of another group, this one's going to be just a quick spizz around. Now that you've shared a little bit about, some of you may not have been able to may not have shared, but we're going to go into music as a waka. No, it's a vessel. It is a conduit, exploring diverse worldviews. Now, what forms of this thing that is the waka, that is the vessel, that is that conduit? I want you to see or talk in your group, what are some of the explorative ways you have been able to use, or what are some of the questions you have so you can use that external to the internal of Te Ao Māori. You may have already spoken about it in the Identity Through Music discussion, but for some of you, it will be trying to find connection through written, scored music that has Māori waiata or Māori song. For some, it could be taking your classroom to the school's marae. To some, it could be just going and visiting a local marae or getting a kaumātua kuia to come in to talk about the viewpoints of Māori music and sharing music from other areas of the world. So I just want you to share. We're going to end up playing about 5 minutes over time, whānau. But I just really wanted to get this one in discussion mode for you. Ka pai? Thumbs up if you understand. No. Okay, yep, there's some of you there. So using that same question, how do we as teachers find our own understanding into the world of music from a lens in Te Ao Māori? Using the thought of music as a waka, exploring diverse worldviews. And how do we delve into those worldviews? How do we explore the diversity within music, let alone music in Te Ao Māori? So I want everyone to start sort of like bouncing into those thoughts or those questions or those theories or those tensions or those challenges that we have as teachers, as people who work with teachers, as musicians, as administration that works with teachers within the curriculum of music. Because no doubt we've all heard the questions, we've all heard the challenges, we've all heard the cries, we've all heard the argument. And so that's how we're going to sort of like jump into it. So here we go, whānau. It's only going to give you 4 minutes. Ka pai? 4 or 5 minutes. Here we go. Ko kia ora tātou e te whānau. I know we've gone a little bit over. We started a little bit late, and just before we end up closing today's session, just really wanted to remind people that we when I hand it over to Kelly, he'll most probably show everyone, but from our guidelines and our tikanga that we set to try and join in, so when it comes to 6 o'clock we can kickstart. But as we know, things happen, and just like it's happened last week, it happened again this week. But what we're going to try and do is actually try and get the full hour in. So if we start at 6:06, we're going to finish at 7:07, something like that. But it's just to get as much in the short amount of time as we can. Now, both Kelly and I can talk about the identity of music for all 8 sessions. And so, as we all know, it's really, we're really wanting to draw out, we're using these kaupapa, we're using these subjects to draw out stuff from you to ask us the questions. We have copies of, copies of notes from the NCA 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 that was shared from Mensa that we can actually go through and talk about. But in amongst that, looking just particularly at the curriculum will be, or can be done, but we really want to be able to, for those like Victoria and Lenny and Sarah who have joined us this week, is we want you to sort of like really think about when we come into these sessions, we want you to come into these sessions with questions related to the kaupapa, questions related to what's happening in your school that we may be able to give a hand with. Now, we're going to be sharing ideas and sharing possible resources you can use, but it's really, we're here for you. And I like this, the whakatauki that I shared tonight. We all have struggles, but it's sharing in that light, and that light is actually, each of us represents a piece of that firewood, and the fireplace is our schools. And when we come together, we're actually sparking that lint, and that lint is creating the smoke, and it's creating those embers, and it's when we start talking and communicating and questioning and finding resolve to those questions, that's when our fire is burning. And so we know both Kelly and I know this is all new, and we're going to be getting used to this. It's most probably week 3 and week 4 is going to really kick into it. But we want you to chuck questions and have questions ready for us even before the next session. And so with things just in the briefing, with things like what Kelly spoke about earlier in terms of the pronunciation of the instruments, how you can help yourself using the vowel systems and using kupu Māori, right through to some of what's been shared tonight in resources. That Māori music book was actually from Mervyn McLean. I've had many challenges with his people, but there are growing numbers, and a lot of the resources are online now. But once again, you need to be very careful on who is sharing the resource, whether they're practitioners or not. Kelly and I just spoke, and we're going to put down a number of different things that you can have a look at, but I'll let Kelly talk about that. But just from me, ngā mihi nui, and Kelly, I'll hand it over to Kelly now to have his kōrero, but just throwing it out there, last week we had the bro share a karakia to close us off. I'm just chucking it out there now. Who wants to think about closing tonight's karakia? Closing our session off tonight with a karakia. And so before your karakia, hei a koe te wā, Kelly.
Kia ora koutou. Thanks for staying online too for a bit longer. Honestly, we don't mind staying on here for a bit longer too if you're into it. What I wanted to share is a new resource that we're going to be using, and it's called Miro. We were using the online whiteboard here, but the online whiteboard here kind of sucks because it disappears after you finish a session. And the only person who has probably access to it maybe be either Ben or Pauline. So I've got a new resource here. I'll just show you it. Now, don't get all funny about your photos that I just took, because we can take new ones. All right, Kapoi? Yeah, I should have said, hey, everyone, smile, but I couldn't because I didn't want to interrupt Horo, so I just took them. Anyway, here we go. Okay, this thing here is the metal board here. We've gone nicely branded with men's. That's not a very good JPEG, is it, or a PNG? Anyway, week one we had our tikanga of our rōpū that's in here. Actually, hang on. Let's get out of here first, whānau. I'm going to get you to join me. Can you all see the metal board link that's in your chat? Is it there or nah?
Carl,
It's 701.
It is there, whānau. You just need to scroll back a bit.
They might not have access. If you go to a chat room, sometimes if you post something in here, you can't see it. Anyway, I'm going to redo it again. There you go. Click that one there. Don't join me at all if you're not. Just click on it and see if you can go straight in and tell me what tell me if you can get in. I should just give you straight access to the board. Is anyone struggling with it? Okay, when you're in it, on a screen share here, I've got one person. I've got Horo and Helene Piper. Oh, yeah, Lenny. Yep, we've got Lenny in there too. If you click on my icon, which is a little lightning bolt up there, it's got a little marae with the lightning. If you click on that, that means you're following me. You're about to come exactly where I am, and you're about to follow around. So, first port of navigation is we're going to have our tikanga here. I'll just show you it anyway. You can have a look in here later on. We've got these are our tikanga. So anyone who joins in, we're going to get them. We're going to direct them straight into here. And the main focus is, remember, only one bass player joke and one trombone joke per session. Okay, whānau? Cool. Here's our original email that we got here. Sent out, I think, maybe by Paul or someone at admin anyway. Oh, Pauline. Kia ora, Pauline. Here's week one, who was online here. We had a few here. I'm pretending like I'm just taking a random picture, but actually looked off into the sunset on purpose there. Here's tonight's one so far. And we've got our whakatauki in there and things that are in there. Okay, so you can add to those, you can write in, but also going to have our resources in here. So there's videos that we're going to put in here in our resources section. You can just click on those and it'll play straight away in the player here, as you can see. And that one there is on a certain way of conducting puoro orchestra. If you have one at school, it's just an idea of how you might conduct a group of puoro players. We'll put our new words in here. So our new word today is ihi rangaranga. Kōrero mai, ihi rangaranga. Yeah, it sounds great when you're on mute, doesn't it? But let's be brave and unmute and put it out there in the public arena. Come on, public visibility says whānau, ihi rangaranga. Okay, so if that's your new word for this week, ka pai, if you've used it before, it's basically the same word as vibrations. Ihi rangaranga. Sound, light, heat, and motion. That's all the vibrations you can think of, and of course, music fits inside of that space of ihi rangaranga. Okay, so that's a really good entrance point to start thinking about what is music to us. Well, it comes straight away from primordial vibration. And as Māori practitioners in this world, first thing we do is we harness the environmental sounds that are around us inside of ourselves, and we try and amplify those to resonate with other people. So the basis of puoro is first and foremost amplifying the taiao. Ka pai, ihi rangaranga. And I want you to own that kupu. I want you to take it to your students and teach them, okay? Write it up on the board and say, whānau, we're going to learn this kupu here, ihi rangaranga. In fact, do a hangman first, no one will win. Do that one. Go, they won't be able to get that one. Anyway, that's a little session for today. That's our mirror board for those who can jump on. If you can't jump on, no big deal. We've got another 6 or 7 sessions we can teach you how to get on there anyway, okay? And I'll take a better photo next week. One question we did have come through, it came through from Christine, who was at one of our Wānanga, and she put a pātai in. What is the tikanga of doing puoro when you're walking onto a marae? Okay, so these are the kind of questions that we can answer here. Okay, so it's a type of pātai. what is the tikanga of a wairea, which is the type of a chant that people do up here in Taitokora, and even in Tuarua we do it. When men are chanting across the marae, where does the puoro fit in with the karanga, for instance? Those kind of things there. These are all things that we can answer. So you give us the pātai, and we'll have a little think tank on it, myself and Horomona and Christian maybe, and we'll come back to you in the next session after that. Awesome. Kia ora, horo.
Ka pai whānau. Ooh, that question itself is a whole session. But with that whānau, this is where I'm going to hand it over to anyone that wants to volunteer to do our karakia, to clear us from the space, for us to go back to our homes, back to our spaces, and to you know, send us off in the right way. But I'm looking forward to catching up with everybody next week, same time, same place, here on Zoom. And so looking forward to it. And please come with your questions, come with your creativity, come with your story to share, come with your fullness.
Yeah,
And
come
so
with your puoro. Come bring a puoro next time as well, okay? Bring one of the puoro that you might have. It might be a shell, like Lenny's got there.
Yes.
It might be a carved piano by Michael, what's his name? What's that fella's name? Michael
Kare
Korwhai.
kōwhai.
Kare Korwhai. Yeah, you might have one of those in your back room. Bring it along. Ka pai.
Okay, so who wants to do our karakia whakakapi?
Alrighty, te whānau. Nā reira, tēnei te mihi anu ki a kōrua. O ke tuakana ngā mihi, ngā tingani. Me te mata. E te atua anei te wāhi o te ao matihipo, kei te noho mātou mo te karakia, me tēnei wā. E pā te aki o mātou mahi, I te ao pūro, I o rātou akumanga. Help us to take this knowledge into our lives and just really enjoy being in the spaces we're in and give it a go. I roto I te ngotapu karai te amini.
Āmini. Ā tāhua.
Ka pai whānau. Awesome to see you. We'll see you next week. Don't forget, bring your puoro. That can actually be the topic of our 20-30 second whakawhanaungatanga share, is your puoro you're sharing with the whānau. Ka pai. Mauri ora whānau.